this is the right thing to do.
It says we're live.
Oh, I didn't put the countdown down. Damn.
There's no
we just went live
countdown,
without
so
the
we're just
countdown.
going.
Oh my
Funny.
God.
Funny.
Typical. Look at me. No countdown. We are live. But the people were there. They were like, we're ready.
Yeah, there's some comments
that's
already.
okay. That's okay. We are live. So.
I should put down my breakfast drink now that we're live, actually.
I know. I was going to give you 3 minutes to just sip away and then like, bang. That's typical, you know? Yeah, we just went live.
Hello. Join chat, connect to YouTube. Let's see if this works.
Cool. So welcome, everyone. Tell us, where are you from in the world today? Where are you joining in from? And then we'll get started as soon as I know where you're all from. I was going to, I thought we'd have a few minutes to stretch. We didn't have any minutes to stretch. Oh, well. I'm going to put this on this screen. Lovely.
I'm just going to also start to pull up proper screens. What's going on, folks?
Yeah.
Robbie, are you
UK,
the same Robbie
Slovakia,
that was...
Spain.
Are you the same Robbie that's like, it's like 3 a.m. for you right now? Because when last time, Robbie, it's like you were here the whole time. Sorry.
But
that's just, I recognize that name.
Maybe it's only 4 o'clock in the morning because we're an hour later from
the last 4 o'clock in the morning.
You know, it's not that early.
No, not that bad. But particularly if you have a kid. I've been up since like 4:30 a.m.
Oh, that was nasty.
Yeah, Norway, Spain, Bulgaria, India, Slovakia, Vietnam, Sri Lanka. Amazing. Australia.
I love when we get the Aussies in.
Yeah, that's insane. I mean, we literally have every portion of the like world basically covered. It's like there is no portion of the world. Spain, amazing. Bahrain, cool. All right.
It's very cool. Fun fact, I was in Australia for 2 months. Love Australia. It's amazing. Yeah. I just went traveling there as a young person, backpacking around Australia. Best thing you can ever do. Just put everything on your back and just go traveling for a couple of months. Deadly.
I appreciate the person who said planet Earth. That is true. We are all planet Earth. Hello.
Are we? Are we? Do we really know that?
Yeah, we can avoid that. We can make that the next topic for a Playwright Live. Scary Rabbit. What's going on? Cool. All right. So as people roll in, we can kind of set the stage, but a couple logistics things. If this is your first Playwright Live, check out the Playwright Discord. We kind of alternate between Playwright Live, which is YouTube, and happy hours on Discord. They're very similar in many ways, but Playwright Live is recorded, so this will be on the YouTube channel. It's been awesome actually seeing how many people went and watched last Playwright Live after. And then Discord is a little bit more casual. It's just we go live for an hour, and that's lost to the ether. So it's more of a safe space for Debbie to share secrets. So if you ever want to check that out, check out the Discord, hop over to the Discord, and then we do happy hours. And normally it's kind of every other week we're doing one of the two, but it's kind of dependent on both of our schedules. So that's just for people who this is your first time. Deb, you want to set the stage about kind of talks for today, main topics, and then we'll do Q&A at the end?
Sure. So we have actually just released 1.45. I say 1.45, Max gives out to me, says, you need to say 145. And I'm like, I don't know, it's just my way of doing things. You know? But anyway, 145 or 1.45, whatever you want to call it, we have released it. So I'm going to do a live demo today of all the features. Well, the main cool feature, which is the clock API. So we're going to go forward in time, basically. We're going to travel. We're going to time travel today. And it would be really cool to hear your comments in the chat. Ben's never seen this demo either. No, we haven't released the video yet for the new release. So you are all getting a first-hand experience. And that means you can kind of like say, oh my God, I like it. I don't like it. It's cool. It's not cool. Ask away. Tell us your feedback. And after that, we shall just answer any of the questions that you have. So throw your questions in there. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just as excited as anyone else. So I get to ask all my basic questions as we go. So I'll do my best.
Okay, share screen. This is where I always like, oh my God,
Now,
H
yeah, I'll
green
give the
screen.
caveat while you're pulling that up, Debbie. Both Debbie and I have had like technical problems all morning, which I know some people noticed we're like 2 minutes late. I think both of us basically had every technical problem under the sun trying to get up. What's up with Clock API? You're about to find out actually in the next like 15 minutes.
Yes. So let me set the stage literally. Let me do this. Okay.
Also, just shout out Tally, who's another Playwright ambassador who's in chat right now. So Tally is awesome. And I'm seeing if maybe, Tally, you want to hop up and help me ask questions. Alternatively, just shout out to Tally, who's a Playwright ambassador, is in chat. South Africa, awesome. If you want, while we're waiting, start to throw questions, thoughts, everything like that into chat. I'm going to write those down as people go. Also, it's worth noting, so there's a couple of people who have tagged me with questions. I'm just a volunteer. So I actually don't know most of the information around future releases and stuff like that. So I'm just a volunteer. So happy to do my best to answer questions, but people have started to like reach out to me directly on like LinkedIn and Discord with like questions about Playwright and like the future of Playwright and stuff like that. I have no control over that in any way. I just volunteer my time to help try to do the logistics side of things. So happy to help in any way I can, but do want to just call that out, even though I do have swag, which is something I appreciate. Cool. All right. Looks like we have the screen share going. So I'm going to hand it over to Debbie.
Thank you. Okay, so what is the clock API? Well, first of all, we've got, I made this beautiful demo. It's amazing. And it's a clock, right? So sometimes you want to test dates, clocks, for whatever reason. You could be like, doing like special offers and things like that. You could just have a, like, those apps that tell you what time it is in what time is it for Ben? What time is it for me? I'm always Googling those apps, right? So things like that, you want to test it. You want to make sure the clock is working. Now, it doesn't test server, right? It's date.now. So it's kind of like, in your browser, etc. So this is the clock, right? Any questions so far, Ben? You can interrupt me at any point and ask away.
No, I mean, I use date.now, so I'm curious to know a little bit about, how it all interacts.
Okay, well, let me show you quickly just the HTML for this. Again, a very simple start clock function, which just basically says, today equals new date, and get your hours and minutes and seconds, and then get the by element ID clock, and in the inner HTML, throw in the number in there, set the timeout, start clock, and it's on the window at event listener load. So it's on the load, I'm starting my clock. Simple as that, right? And you can see here's my ID clock. So it's going to go in here, right? So how we would test that is, and let's just focus on this test up here first. We're going to basically set the fixed time. So we're going to say await page.clock. Page.clock is our new API, right? And what does page.clock do? It has the ability to mock clock and the passage of time. So we're basically going into the clock and we're going to like mock, intercept it and mock it. And we want to set a fixed time. So that makes date.now and new date return a fixed time, but it keeps all the timers running. So time is still running, but we're just setting a fixed time. And we're basically saying, new date, and we're using this date here, and we're putting in 10 o'clock. So I'm going to focus on 10 o'clock here because we're just showing time, but we could be showing date as well.
Can I ask you a quick question? You said set a fixed time, but the clock is still running. So will it start running from the fixed time? The timer is still running. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, that's the one thing. So because the timer start running from the new fixed time, or is that two separate things that I'm just connecting?
Yeah, so it keeps all the timers running, which means we're not stopping the timer. So then if you kind of, I don't know how to explain it properly, but like if you, if you went to, what I'll do is, and I'll show here because we have docs, right?
Got it.
So let's start your docs.
Yep.
Right? No, this is a great question. I just want to pull it up so that everyone can find it later and say like, so where is set fixed time? Set fixed, damn, it looked into bloody edge stuff. Set fixed time is here. Let's see if I need to do it in the API docs. There we go, page.clock.
Oh,
so
okay.
Set fixed time.
Yep.
Fast forward, install, arguments, pause that, resume, run for it. Now we're jumping ahead. Right, set fixed time. It keeps all the timers running. So basically, it doesn't really give much information actually on this. So that's terrible.
I think my
we'll
question will
come
be
back to
answered
that.
by the demo. So I didn't mean to interrupt the demo. So let's keep rolling
That's
on that,
okay.
and I'm
That's
sure my
okay.
question will be answered.
My clock is still running. It's 2:00 here. I don't know what time it is for you, Ben. It's 2:00 here. So yeah, it's leaving the timers running, but it's setting a fixed time of 10:00. So I'm basically going to my my clock, and I'm basically getting by my test ID and expecting it to be 10:00. Simple as that, right? There's not much more to it. So let's run the test. It should work, but live demos. Okay, now I've got the set. Let me open up here. Okay, I've got show trace viewer set. So obviously it always pops up on another window. So now I've got to like go along here and find it and zoom in and do all that. And let's go back and select the trace I want to show. So I want to show this one. Let me just zoom here. And there we go. So basically we have our before hook, which is just browser context page, right? Usual stuff. And then we got clock, right? We've got the clock at the very start, set the fixed time. We're setting the fixed time here. I'm going to bring this up a little bit here so you can see in the call, set fixed time, right? You can see that my time is 2:13, right? And then I go to the localhost, my timer page, and you can see there that I'm waiting for my clock. I got my response, and then I'm expecting my clock, right? I'm expecting a text of string 10, and I'm getting, I received 10:00. And you can see it here, right? It's 10:00. But my time is 2:13, as you can see here, right? So I'm setting the fixed time. Now you said about timers running, but you're not going to see this in the test because the clock is not going to keep running, right?
Yep.
Because it's like, it's a trace here. But yes, the timers are still running, so the clock would still be going. So that's that. I'm looking at the I'm trying to like read the questions at the same time. It's pretty hard. So if you see a question in the chat that's kind of like direct to the demos, Ben, just interrupt and shout it out. Okay, that's set fixed time. So let's look at another thing. Let's quickly go to the docs actually. Right, so that's set fixed time, which we just covered. And there's a lot of like the methods are all here, right? So what I'm going to do is manually advance time. So what happens when we want to go forward in time manually? For whatever reason, maybe 10:00, you want to test that at 10:00 something happens, and at 10:30 something else happens, right? Or
something
after you've been on the page,
or a deal offers or something like that, like a deal expires.
That'd be going backwards sometimes. But yeah, so yeah, manually advanced time, like in 20 minutes, what happens in 20 minutes? What do you want your users to see in 20 minutes? So here we need to like run clock.install, right? So we install fake implementation of the clock, right? So we initialize basically. I always say install because install to me means install a clock on the page, but it's like initialize. So so yeah, we set the time. So we're setting 8:00 in the morning, right? We can initialize it with a time or without a time. Now we go to the website, and then what we're saying is we want to pause time. Pause time. Wouldn't that be cool? I want to pause my own, like time my own life. So we're advancing the clock by jumping forward in time and pausing the time. Once this method is called, no timers are fired, right? So we're pausing time. The timers are like stuck. We're stuck in time forever here in this moment. Okay. If we wanted to fire the timers again, we'd need to run for, fast forward, pause that, or click resume to is called, right? So then what we want to do is we want to check that the clock is 10:00 because we basically said pause it at 10:00. Now this could be obviously like, you know, make sure there's a message here at this time or whatever. And then we want to fast forward by 30 minutes. So in 30 minutes time, like you said, there's some sort of offers running out, something's happening, whatever. We want to advance the clock by jumping forward in time. Only fires due timers at most once, right? So it's equivalent to the user closing the laptop lid and then reopening it after 30 minutes. And then you see whatever message you see, your bank has logged out or something has happened because you closed the laptop, right? That's what we're doing here.
Yeah, this was my exact question. And actually Ed asked the question specifically and Tally answered it, which is basically, is this just like a set time or can you keep it moving forward to an event? And so, yeah, this is fantastic and answers a couple of the questions already in chat.
Cool. Let's press play, run the test. And let's check the trace viewer. It should be already open. There we go. So we did all our before hooks. We did clock install. We went to our website, 8 o'clock, right? You can still see my time down at the bottom in that call. It's 2:17. It is not 8 o'clock. And then we are pausing and we get 10 o'clock. And then we are fast forwarding and we get 10:30, right? Cool. Any questions? No questions? We're good?
I was muted. I'm so embarrassed.
I was going to say, like, I can't hear you, Ben.
So would this also work for authentication use cases, or is that added technology on top of this where you have basically a user who's logged into an app, you would set like the clock time for 5 minutes, and then after 5 minutes, it auto like kicks the person out with the cookie. Like, was that a use case that works for this, or is that extended probably past this functionality? I'm just curious, or anyone else in chat could answer that too.
Yeah, so there's not cookie kind of stuff in there. Clock is installed for the entire browser context.
It's interesting. It would probably depend on the implementation of the app, actually, as I'm asking that question out loud. So I think that for some apps that might work. Yeah, exactly. And for some apps, the authentication is somehow queued off of the clock, like that session authentication or something like that. So maybe something to play with.
Yeah.
Anyone else have questions in chat? Do you have a live link to this demo? This will be posted. Oh, what's going on? Think that would work? Yeah, exactly. If there's a local JWT expiration check, that would be exactly. Yep, that was my thought process too. Is time like really passing? How does that work? Do you want to explain that? Because like my understanding, and I'm curious, Debbie, if you can correct me, is that basically like the library that you guys are using is basically the same library that the front end development team is probably using for their code. So what you're doing is you're basically manipulating the underlying clock reference that the HTML is actually referencing. So in some ways, the front end thinks that time has passed. That is a fair way of describing that to the person who said, like, is time actually passing?
Yeah, so it's overriding the native global classes and functions like date, set timeout, clear timeout. Like that's basically what we have on the screen here, right? So if your clock is using date.now in the front end, you have a clock running in the front end. If your time is coming from a server, then we can't like go in and get that because it's on the server, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're basically going in and we're kind of mocking it, right? We're intercepting the clock. We're saying, hey, date.now, I want you to be a different date. We're kind of like going in and changing it, like how you mock routes and things like that, you know? Instead of going to this API route, go to this mock one, right? So it's that kind of stuff. So basically, yeah, on the front end only. I want to show you something else because I got another little demo. Right. So and then if there's more questions, then like we'll continue. So I've got like what about a timer, right? I made a little my cool demo. Let's look at this timer. 5 minutes, right? This is the flash offer. Ben, you have 5 minutes to purchase it. This happened to me the other day on Amazon. I was buying something, right? And then this flash offer came up and there's something else I was looking at and they knew I wanted to buy it and they took 20 euros off. And it was like, you have 5 minutes to purchase it and get 20 euros off.
Watching this go down, I'm genuinely curious what's going to happen when you hit zero. Like I get stressed being like, oh my God, we need to finish this in 5 minutes.
I know. And I was like, oh my God, I need to purchase this, right? But I didn't. So I didn't purchase it. And what happened? The price went up by 20 euros. And then it was like, oh my God, I just like lost the discount. But I was able to just open the page on another browser window and it did it again.
That one-time offer wasn't actually as much of a one-time offer as they were implying. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. So I actually did it again and I purchased it and I got my 20 euros off. So I was really happy. But I was like, how would you test something like this? So I'm not going to make you wait 4 minutes to see what happens. I'll go straight to the code. So here's my timer HTML. And I basically getting an end time, right? Which is, 5 minutes from date.now, whatever date.now is. Go forward by like 5 minutes and get that time. And then basically, set my interval, and if remaining time is less than or equal to 0, I want to show a message saying offer expired, and that makes everyone really sad, right? Because you lost out on the deal. And then just remove the message being the timer in this case. And here we're just adding the timer to the screen. And very important, this is on load. So we start the timer on the page load, which means if I look, you can 3 minutes to go, but if I refresh the page, I've got another 5 minutes to purchase the offer. Again, this is there are circumstances when you would want to do this. Could be like your bank logging in, stuff like this, and you got 5 minutes. Are you still there? Do you get a message? Are you still there? Like, click if you're still here, and then you've got to do something. So how do we test that? Here's my beautiful test, and I've got page.clock install, right? So I'm installing or initializing, I should say, the clock. And then I go to the website and I say, make sure the flash offer is visible. And then I basically fast forward by 5 minutes, right? And you might think oh, but a couple of seconds have passed and stuff. And it's like, no, you're fast forwarding by 5 minutes. You're getting to the end of that time because, you started the time, you initialize the clock so you can kind of modify the time. Fast forward by 5, and then you should get offer expired. So let's go and run that test. Our website is 3 minutes 58. Yeah. But obviously, if I start that time again, it's going to be 5 minutes because, it's on load. So let's go to our trace viewer, and we have our clock install, 5 minutes, flash offer. I make sure the flash offer is there. It's there. Fast forward by 5 minutes. You can see the tick string, 5 minutes. And then bang, offer expired. And it's so sad because you didn't get the discount. Then you lost it.
Pop up. Sorry, I'm just trying to look through your questions. That's awesome. Yeah, it's a really cool demo. So there's a quick question on, let me scroll up. Can you combine set fixed time with fast forward, or do you have to pause time in order to manage the clock?
Can you combine set fixed time? I'm trying to see if I can find that.
So what my
Can you read that again?
So can you combine set fixed time with fast forward, or do you have to pause time in order to manage the clock? So my guess based on this question is that you are stubbing in a fixed time and then looking at the screen, and then you're running the fast forward function and looking at the screen. And the question becomes, do you have to pause time in order to manage the clock? And then, follow up. Since pause at stops all timers, maybe that's a different question. Does the question make sense, Debbie, or should we ask for a follow up in chat?
Ask for follow up because I'm not sure exactly. Here we're using fast forward, we're not pausing at. So it depends on what you're doing, right? You can fast forward. My second example didn't pause; it just fast forwarded, right? So that's inactivity monitoring. It's something, this pop up, say, are you still there? Are you still there? Do you still want to purchase this? And it's checking, 5 minutes has passed, and then sending that message, checking that pop-up has come up, right? But you can pause that because maybe you want to test something at a specific moment in time, what happens if the user closed the laptop and came back 2 hours later, 30 minutes later, 5 minutes later, what message shows on the screen, right?
Cool.
So it depends on if you want to pause that and at that particular time, or you just want to fast forward and then you're into that, the end of time.
A bunch from Testing Tips with Philip, which I'm sorry about pronunciation. It's early in the morning for me. And by the way, shout out his YouTube channel and LinkedIn content. People should definitely check him out. He does a bunch on test automation, and it's fantastic.
I liked his last video.
Yes, you do a fantastic job at covering a bunch of different test automation topics. So anyone confused? So there are, so he uses a couple examples of other use cases, right? There are other many cases where you have a pop-up notification, element render, or something happening on the page, usually implemented by a developer doing the set timeout function. For example, set timeout, then hide this element for the app to know what time it is or how much time has passed. What this is basically doing, as he's explaining it, to kind of reiterate, is you're basically getting the browser to think that time has passed when it's a different time because you're plugging into the same underlying API that the browser is using. So knowing him, he'll also have a video on this or something too. So just in general, shout out his content. Cool. Scrolling up for questions. This is a question, and I actually don't know that I knew the answer. Is it possible for the front end to get a hold of native APIs even though we have installed a new clock using Playwright? I think the answer is yes to that, Debbie. But does that question make sense to you in context, or do you need more there for that question?
I'm gonna ask you to repeat that. I brought them. There's quite like a lot of text to these questions. There's a lot to process.
Well, it's interesting. What technical demo leads to like fairly heavy technical questions where you're just like, oh, interesting.
Right, let me see if I can find it. Can you just who is it? Who is it that said it?
Lar up at 821. Is it possible for the front end to get a hold of native APIs even though we have installed a new clock? So my guess is that maybe by installing the new clock, is it somehow overriding access to the actual clock function in HTML? Is maybe my guess, unless someone else wants to clarify that.
Yeah, so remember that basically we're using, depending on how the clock is set out. So let me throw the docs page in here into the chat. So if you're using date, set timeout, clear timeout, all that kind of stuff, then you should be able to mock it. But I mean, I would love you to test that out and tell me, does that work in your circumstance? Go and test it out and check it out and give us feedback on it. If it doesn't, then think about, well, how is that clock implemented? So it's about how that clock is implemented, like what Philip said, right? So yeah, if it's coming from a server, because the first time I tried to test this out, I did it on a clock just in the browser. I thought it was in the browser, but it was actually coming from the server. When you inspected the HTML, the actual time came from the server and not in the browser. And therefore, I could not use the Playwright clock API to test that out.
Cool. All right. So more questions. The questions have sort of slowed down. So if anyone else does have questions, but while we're waiting, Debbie, anything else demo-wise? Are we starting to approach the end of the demo, or do you have any other nuggets for us today?
No, that is the end of the clock demo. The release is live, so you can just go to the release notes and you can just like check them out for yourself. We have a video coming out which will show this whole demo, and possibly just I'll show the example test code up there as well, into an examples repo that you can easily see. I'll put in a blog post as well or something, so it's easier to find, right? But yeah, it's pretty straightforward. And the docs also give you a great example. So do test it out, and we'd love feedback because it's new, right? So check it out and let us know what you think of it. And then other things that have been released in the release notes, we can go over if you want to. But that was the kind of like the big juicy content.
Sweet.
Oh, can you change? I love Tally just putting me in the spot. Can you change the demo to use set system time instead of set fixed time, and it will show the difference? Okay. So this is what Tally is challenging me to. Like,
are we about to do live coding?
I have no idea, because you know me, Ben. I'm just not a live coder. It's not.
Well, that's where
thing.
we need Max. Anytime we're going to start to do live coding, we need Max. Max is the king of live coding on demos.
Okay, are you ready? Are you ready for this? You can talk me through this, right? Because I'm going to try and so we want to go back to the clock spec. And she wanted me to do on the set fixed time, change this to set system time. Right? Bum, bum, bum. Now I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen. Let's run this and see. Our test passed. Now what happened? What changed? And what's different? Well, let's look at the trace viewer. So the trace viewer set system time, right? Go to 10 o'clock and expect it to be 10 o'clock. Okay. So I don't know, Tally, if that answers, if you're doing, if it's
Tally, what doing
what you want it to do. Sets the current system time, but does not trigger any timers.
Oh, interesting. That's because...
Tally's apologizing now.
Oh, funny. If you so fast to see the difference. Interesting.
Yeah. So here, yeah, I don't know what, you have a look at the time number 170684. So if you could memorize that number, but then time's going to change every time I run this. So
That's because it
yeah,
happens. Oh, it keeps the clock running on like, so basically
exactly.
it's interesting. So what it's basically doing is it's intercepting the time, but the time then just keeps running as opposed to intercepting the time with a fixed value. That's the way I'm understanding it. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd have to like put something else on the page or something so that we could kind of like,
Yeah,
keep
like you
testing
could have
something
like
else.
a wait for visible that's like 5 seconds, or you could even just do like a wait for timeout for 5 seconds, and it would run the clock for 5 seconds. And okay, that makes sense. Cool, that's really cool. Unlike and that would also make sense that because it went so fast, you don't see the difference.
Yeah, so set system time does not trigger any timers, but set fixed time keeps all timers running. So that means when you continue testing something on your page, time is running. Time continues. If you've got a long test on something, that you're testing out. But that's a good pointing out, Tally. Thank you.
Cool. All right. Well, second half of Playwright Live, we always open it up to your questions. So please start. I've written down a couple questions, but please start to put questions into the comments. And with that, anything else in the documentation that you want to call out, Deb or Debbie?
Yeah, check out the release notes. You've got the clock, you got test runner stuff. Things that are interesting are set input files, so you can upload a directory. So that's now possible. Make sure you put input type equals file WebKit directory, and then control or meta plus S. Did you know, Ben, what meta plus S is?
Did I know what meta plus S? I'm going to guess save, because meta is the keyboard command for command, right, on Macs?
Exactly. I just thought it was Facebook, but actually it's more than Facebook.
There.
Meta is, so the command plus S. So now you can do like control or meta, control or command plus S. So yeah, that's there as well. So the couple of cool things. Check out the release notes for everything else, and a release video will be released later today. Yeah, that's all I've got. Fail on flaky test. What else? Try fails test. Oh, can I please share this demo? Yeah, I will share this. It's not on it's not on GitHub yet. It will be on GitHub. It's on my local computer. But I will put it on Playwright examples, and I will link to it in the release notes. I'll do that. All right. That and the release notes, the release video, the notes of the release video. So you'll be able to check back on that.
Shout out to your guys' release notes. They're very, very helpful. Do you write them, or who writes your release notes on your team?
I do not. The engineers write the release notes, right? So they come up with these release notes, and then they go, all right, Debbie, test it out. And then like I have to go and go, oh my God, what is this clock? What does this do? And then I like go and test it out, and then it doesn't work, right? Because they didn't tell me that it doesn't work on, server rendered clocks. So then I go back to Max and say, Max, this clock doesn't work. And then Max goes, yeah, because it's on the server. And I'm like, oh my God. So then I got to go and like go, right, well, I need a browser one. So instead of like finding a website with like all these ads and all this, rubbish, I go and I just make a website with a clock. And then I can kind of understand things better. And then I go and, create those demos, create the slides, test things out. And it's a whole process. It's not easy. There you go. There's the insights.
Yeah, the behind the scenes workings of the Playwright team. Upload directory. I'm
Ben,
also pumped about that. Go ahead, sorry.
Speaking of feedback from community and stuff like this. So one of the things that we have been doing recently is we've been changing the style of the release video. You might have noticed that. And I would love people's feedback on if you like the last release video. Are you still learning stuff from it? Is it still good, et cetera, et cetera? So do give us that kind of feedback as well, so we can constantly improve. What are you looking for? What's missing? What do you need? Let us know.
Okie doke. All right, let's roll into questions. It looks like there's a couple questions that Tally's already answered, which has been great. Thank you for Tally for being in chat and answering questions. Please start throwing questions into chat or feedback or comments, or otherwise Debbie and I just end up doing songs and dances and, you know, try to do a musical number to entertain you guys here for the last 20 minutes. Take more polls on Discord was an idea kind of thrown out there. What are your thoughts on taking polls in Discord, Debbie?
Yeah, why not? That sounds great. I don't know how to do a poll in Discord, but I can figure it out. But yeah, sounds good. Or just like our videos. So when you watch our videos and give us likes, that's a good way for me to kind of say like, oh, this video got 100 more likes than the last video. So obviously this kind of style is working. Or so we do like us because we like to be liked. But if you don't like us, it's also good feedback. So, you know, kind of say, I don't like, or put a comment in the chat and say, you know, I enjoyed this video. I do read all the comments. Sometimes I don't answer them all because sometimes people throw code into the comments and it's like, I cannot debug on YouTube comments, right? So, you know, throw in the questions into Discord, but do put a comments in there. We got 101 people watching right now. That is very cool.
Another question, is this feature only released for Node for now, or is it also released on the other, like Python, etc.?
That is a great question. Let me check quickly if I can, because I can see it in Python already. So if you go to the docs, I'm just going to the docs, so people don't go to docs, I know. It's also released in Java, and it's also released in .NET. So again, read the documentation.
Perfect. Ed said
it's not out in Python yet. The release notes are out in Python. Are you sure? I mean, if not, then Max will be rolling it today, for sure. But it's looks like the doc already released for Python, but GitHub tells 1.44. Okay, so Max just hasn't rolled. He'll roll it later. It's a whole rolling experience. It'll be there. It'll be there. Give him time.
So then another question sort of talks about, you know, Playwright's great, many QA engineers, but there's a lot of people who aren't 100% comfortable in English. Do you offer some kind of support? What I would say is there's a ton on YouTube in different languages, but Debbie, what are your thoughts on sort of how global this community is and different languages associated with learning, documentation, etc.?
On documentation, yeah, like we don't put our documentation into other languages, so it's hard to maintain because we update things so fast. We move at such a fast pace that it would be impossible. But there are such great translating tools out there that actually can just take the documentation. And most of the things are like so well documented that it's, you know, the API documentation is out of this world. So you kind of don't really need, in my opinion, translating to the extent of like having translators for every single language behind the scenes doing everything every time we make updates. So yeah, we're not going to put documentation to other languages. People are doing videos and content in other languages and doing amazing stuff. We have done ChatGPT translate is even better. Just throw it in there. Copilot, you know, do it, whatever. Yeah, we do have some content. We started the Playwright Live in Spanish with Charlie there a couple of weeks ago. That went really well. So that's on our YouTube channel if anyone missed that in Spanish. And we'll continue maybe to do Spanish, basically because I speak Spanish. I'm not going to do another language that I don't speak because that would be hard. But other people are doing some great content out there. And do check the Discord channel for that because they are posting those into the videos and articles channel. So check that out.
Sweet. And what I'll say, by the way, just being a community member, just kind of volunteering, is it's a lot easier to get involved in these things than you would expect. Like I was like super scared of the idea of reaching out to Debbie like 2 years ago because it was like so intimidating that I was like the senior, what's your title these days? Senior program.
Technical PM, yeah.
It's like a very scary title from the outside. And I was like, this person's such a big deal. I couldn't possibly reach out to them. And then DMing, just being like, hey, what are the ways that you can help? Or what are the ways that I can help? And Debbie and the rest of the team was fantastic at pointing me in the direction of ways that I can help. So if you see a gap and you're like, oh, this gap isn't filled, I would encourage you to fill it yourself. I think that's a fantastic solution too.
We don't pay Ben anything. We gave him a free t-shirt and that was it.
That's fair. Yeah. And your enjoyment of spending an hour with you every couple of weeks. That's well worth it.
It is fun. Debbie. It is fun. It is fun. And we have to go through this whole process of your time zone, my time zone, your baby, my babies, who's sleeping, who's awake, who's whatever. It's not easy.
Soon we're just gonna put your twins and my 10-month-old on screen, and we'll step back and let them do
the talking.
Let them do the video. Yep. Cool. Other questions, thoughts, concerns? I'll just address the extending Playwright to support desktop app automation. For now, I think it's web-based, but I do we've done some with like Blazor and some other things that are like more Microsoft products. So there are a couple instances where it does start to get a little bit closer to the desktop, but I don't think it's really something that is in the sort of future sites for you guys. I think I've heard pretty consistently we're focused on web-based automation. Fair to address? Fair to say?
Yeah, we don't have like that many people to be able to say like, right, let's go and focus in this area and stuff. And that's why we're not covering. We can't cover everything, so we have to kind of like cover what people want the most and what our team is capable of doing as well, right? There's a balance, yeah.
Cool. Other questions, thoughts, concerns, questions? Poems, rhymes, songs. I just wrote a QA rap on GPT a couple days ago for my team, which was very embarrassing to then try to do.
Go ahead, show us.
No. There are some things, maybe on a Discord that's not recorded, there are some things knowing that this is a recorded channel that I will not be doing. But maybe someday on the Discord happy hour where it's not recorded, I will embarrass myself by doing that. Yes, this is the problem with sharing fun ideas, is that people are like, let's do them. Is there going to be support for browser extensions like MetaMask? I thought I've worked with browser extensions in the past. Is that true, or am I making that up, Debbie?
I remember someone asked about MetaMask because I had no idea what MetaMask was. Again, this word meta is coming in from everywhere. It's like, Facebook mask. Is this what this is? So yeah, I don't know. I can't answer that.
It's a crypto wallet, I think. And I thought in the past, I've run tests where you launch the browser with the extension installed in the browser. And I think I've done tests with extensions, but I might be misunderstanding the question. But I've launched browsers with the extension installed. So maybe I'm missing something, but I could be wrong.
Okay, so no idea. Check it out. Like if something doesn't work for you, use GitHub and write a feature request and say, hey, I'm trying to test this scenario and I'm missing this API because people came to us and they were testing clocks and they couldn't test it. And that's why we built that, because people asked for it. So, yeah, basically tell us what you're missing or why things are not working. Because I haven't worked with everything. So like I haven't tested a crypto wallet. So I don't know what you need. Tally says
your documentation could be better.
Explanation. Tally, PRs are welcome. Right back at you.
I'm just scrolling up in chat. Any events you're going to this summer, by the way? Just thinking out loud, because I know you're constantly on the conference circuit. Do you have any speaking things coming up, Debbie, or is it all calmed down for you at this point?
Yes and no, and calm down in the sense that I calmed it down because I had babies, so it makes life a little bit different. So no, I will be traveling in August to Copenhagen. I will be there in person for the Developer Fest conference in Copenhagen. That's at the end of August. Giving a Playwright talk and chatting Playwright with the twins. So that's gonna be fun. And I'm doing the Lambda Test conference. That'll be online. That's coming up in August, I think, as well. And I have a couple of things kind of, scheduled for towards the end of the year, but I don't know if I'm going to be doing them remote or traveling. That will depend on life and how things progress and things like that. What conference in Copenhagen? Let me see if I can find the link. It's something like Developer Fest Copenhagen. Copenhagen Developers Festival. There you go. Found it. So if you're in Copenhagen, come and chat to me, because I will be there. There you go. There's the link. Really good speakers at that conference. So it's going to be an amazing conference. Not just focused on front end. It's kind of front end, back end, a bit mixture of everything. 109 speakers. So, you know, there you go. But yeah, definitely if you're in the area close by, come and check us out. Cool. Be there or be square. Exactly. So what we got? We've got like a couple of minutes left. That's great. I think we're doing great. We have a mission to get as many more Discord joiners to our community as possible. So I would love to see more people joining our Discord server. So if you are watching this and you're not in our Discord server, my question to you is why? Why not? Come and join us, because we do really cool things on there as well. We also do happy hours in there. What happens in Discord stays in Discord. So you get to have, you know, a bit of fun things in there. And yeah, lots of questions, lots of articles, and the community there is amazing. So do join us there.
So while
Philip is okay, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask, since the sort of slowing down in comments. So there's like, I think 7 or 8 Playwright ambassadors now, if I'm remembering correctly, Debbie. One of the things that I'd love to get feedback on is the kind of things that you guys find helpful. So like, for example, I know I try to do YouTube videos or blog posts or stuff like that. Please let me know if there's things that you would find helpful. I sent a list of like 8 ideas over to Debbie at the beginning of the year, being like, here's like 8 different things. And some of them I think were realistic, and others were not so realistic.
But we went live. We got.
But we've done some of them, which is a huge win. But like right now, I feel like sometimes I'm just creating content into the dark and looking for feedback. So if anyone has any ideas, like technical demos or anything for Playwright ambassadors to be the most helpful, I know like Tally's here, a couple other people are around. Please throw them into chat or just Discord me, being like, hey, this kind of topic or answering this question will be super helpful, because that would be just valuable feedback. Because otherwise, I feel like I just throwing darts into the dark here. I think I cut you off though, Debbie. Where were you going to go?
No, that's good. That's really good what you just said there. Because there are so many people creating content, right? And sometimes you think, will I write that blog post? But somebody's already written it. Like, I've just given a demo of the clock API, and you might sit there and think, well, should I write a blog post on that? Should I give a video on that? No, because Debbie's just done it. No, yes, you should, because I just taught it a different way. I showed you a different way than what you will explain it. So if everyone goes out and writes a blog post on the clock API, there will be like, there's 91 people right now. There'll be 91 different blog posts showing things in a different way. So do it, you know, make that first step. If you haven't created content before, if you're like, don't know what to do, I just watched this demo, and then you're like, you get to kind of like test things out yourself and play around with things. So really, really, the more people that create the content, it's not throwing it out into the wild. It's very beneficial. Someone's going to find it. If only one person reads it and learns from it, that's a win.
Perfect. 9 minutes, guys. Yeah, okay. You have plenty of time here.
Yeah, the component testing library comment comes up quite a bit. I would say, let me come back with a proper answer on that next time. It looks stable enough. It does look stable enough. Is there anything particular that's stopping the full release? The only thing that's stopping the full release is, are there enough people, really, really like testing it out? Like, have we tested it across every kind of framework and is it really working as it should do? I know Max has been working a bit on it and checking things out. So we're still working on it. But definitely it should leave the experimental phase. I'm going to pressurize the team to make it leave experimental this year, but that's just me bullying the team. It doesn't mean it's going to happen, but I will work on it.
To be fair, you guys could be following the Fortnite model, where I think Fortnite's still considered a beta video game, even though it's been out for 6 years. And like very, very popular. So you're just constantly in beta or
Yeah.
constantly in experimental mode. So nothing's ever done kind of thing. So maybe
It
that's
just means if something doesn't work, we have an excuse. It's experimental.
exactly. The entire app is experimental, or the entire framework is experimental. Therefore, it's all right that there's bugs. Cool. All right. So what else you got? Anything cool?
Nothing cool. I don't have anything cool. I'm not cool. No, I think definitely we mentioned last time the Learn module, and I'm going to mention it again in case you haven't already done it. And I'm going to throw the link in here because not everyone watched the last one, and it's something very new. And maybe I could, well, I'll just share the link. But in our community section, you will be able to see it there. Oh, I'm on .NET. I should be on Node. If you're a .NET user, we updated like the .NET docs, and they're really, really cool. So the whole getting started guide is much easier. So definitely check out that. So this is a link to the Learn module. I would love you all to go and take this Learn module and give me feedback on it and tell us. You might already know everything. So it's like, you know, maybe you're learning something, maybe you're not. But it's, yeah, I think it's good, especially if you've got a team of developers and you want them to get up to scratch really quickly. Test it out. Give it a go. You get points, and then we'll continue building more of those if you find that they are useful, helpful.
Robbie has a question. Is it possible to keep testing infrastructure running at the end of a test? We use Playwright for TDD and want to keep interacting with the app at the end of a test, but we run into errors. I'd probably want a little bit more clarification on specifically the use case, because we've done like some testing like that, but I'd be curious, like I've done checking of databases and stuff like that post test being done. But I really think that there's a lot more to testing an app than just the front end, and Playwright can pair really, really well as part of an overall funnel process when it comes to testing like that. But I'd probably want to know more of the specific use case. Debbie, any thoughts on that question?
No, I think we need more context, as in what you need, what you're missing. If you want to keep interacting with the app at the end of the test. So is that not like project dependencies where you finished that and you want to do something else? And it's like, yeah, I need to know more.
By the way, so
or as Ed says, yeah, like leave the, like if you're using it as a library rather than the test runner, don't run browser.close and then that'll be open and you can still kind of do that. So yeah, it depends on what you're trying to do.
It's also interesting how much you can use Playwright for not necessarily just like testing related things. Like we use it for like business intelligence stuff internally, like where we're just like helping to like automate certain tasks that like were taking a long time. So it's been really fun. API methods start to fail, but it might be related to how your API mock set up. Interesting question. It sounds like it's an infrastructure problem. Yeah, I'd have to see the specific use case. Sorry to not be able to offer more than that.
And we have a rough time getting component testing to work with Vite and Laravel, or some configuration combo, but we would really like to start using it. That is great feedback. So tell us why, what, put something there in that kind of, create an issue on GitHub and say, this is what's happening. And then maybe that's something we never tested out, Vite and Laravel together for component testing. So definitely, Juicy, please submit an issue for that so that the team can look into it.
Cool. All right, let's start to wrap things up. So please give feedback on Playwright Live, Discord happy hours. Check out Debbie's LinkedIn. I will do some self-promotion because I always forget to do self-promotion. Please check out my LinkedIn. It's Ben Fellows. I try to do blog posts. I always forget my marketing people who are always like, you have such a great platform. Please remember to tell people to check you out. So please check out Ben Fellows on LinkedIn or YouTube. I'm trying to do more interviews on YouTube and stuff like that. Debbie, any kind of resources or your things or anything you want to shout out as we wrap up or ask people to check out?
No, I would definitely say check out the Learn module, which we just shared, and check out the documentation for the new Cluck API that we just demoed, and test it out and create things and give us all your feedback on it, so we can, if there's something we missed, that we can improve on that, right? Because we learn from everyone else testing things out.
Cool. And I'm going to advocate sort of in the last minute, please do complex examples on YouTube. One of the things that I feel like is missing on YouTube is there's a lot of great getting started with Playwright stuff on YouTube. I feel like there could be more really heavy stuff on YouTube. Like there's like 15-hour videos on how to do like Next.js apps and stuff like that. And I would love someone to be like, here is like a massive architecture app. Here is 1,000 Playwright tests, and here's how it all orchestrates together and like the beauty of it. And I really feel like there's a gap for someone who wants to probably have way too much time on their hand to do some really like heavy Playwright implementation interaction with like mocks or database seeding or all of these different pieces that can go with Playwright. So I'm just shout out and calling or asking for someone who has probably too much time on their hand to do that. Or if someone knows it, please do that. Thank you for the subscribe to the YouTube channel. That was very lovely of you. All right, final word is yours, Debbie, as we wrap up today.
Final
This is
word
me putting
is,
you on the spot for final word.
I was gonna turn around and say like, Ben, you just like said, I want all this content, follow my YouTube channel, but I'm not gonna create that content. I just thought it was
Well, okay, first off, 10-month-old baby at home, you have twins. So I get, for at least a year, I feel like I get some level of excuse, and then I'll get back
That's
on
true.
it. But no,
Definitely.
yeah, I will try to do that once I have time. But so I guess that is somewhat of a selfish thing to be like, I don't want to have to make the content. Please, someone else do it.
Yes, but it is good. It is good. Do share the content in the Discord channel so everyone also can find those videos. Final word is thank you everyone for watching. Seriously, it's very cool to have so many of you watching live, and I know like America's only waking up, so we're going to get a lot of people watching it later, and the rest of the world are working and they're going to catch up later as well. So do like keep letting us know what you need, what you want, what content you're missing. Like Ben said, create these kind of videos, but what videos do you want? Let us know, tell us, give us feedback, especially in here on the YouTube channel or whatever. And I don't know, keep being cool, keep being awesome. Playwright on the State of JS, we just got like amazing numbers on that. We're very, very, very happy. The team, you made the team happy because it was like, wow, we're growing. Everyone's happy with it. It's like, it's so positive, and it's great for me, it's great to work on a product where the community just loves everything. And yeah, there's things that can be improved. Yes, there's things that's missing, but people are happy, and that's really, really cool. So thank you everyone for that.
Perfect. On that note, everyone have a great couple of weeks. We'll see you in 2 or 3 weeks for Discord happy hour next, and then we'll be back after that for Playwright Live.
Yeah, and this is where I should like throw a banner up and say goodbye, everyone. There we go. Look, watch this. You ready? Thank you, everyone.